There is a pain that does not merely hurt, it transforms. It is not the sharp, clean cut of a sudden loss, but a slow, tectonic pressure that reshapes the very bedrock of who you are. You have known this pain. It was the season when everything you thought was solid, certainties, relationships, the future you had mapped out, crumbled into dust, not with a roar, but with a deafening, day-by-day silence. This was not a bad chapter, it was a death and a birth. And in its wake, you were left standing in the ruins of your old life, not with a clear victory, but with a profound and unshakable sense that you were no longer the person who had inhabited it. This is the hallmark of the soul's great trial. It does not visit everyone, for not every soul is ready for the searing honesty it demands. It arrives when comfort has become a cage, when the persona you present to the world has grown too tight for the spirit straining within. Its purpose is not punishment, but an unbearable, necessary invitation into your own depths. If you are now more conscious, more selectively quiet, more intuitively sensitive, and yet possess a strength that feels forged, not inherited, you did not simply survive. You crossed over. And on this new ground, life speaks in a different language. The first and perhaps most profound dialect of this new language is a deep, unshakable peace where there was once only internal chaos. This isn't the peace of a problem-free life. It is the peace of a soul that has met its own storm and found a calm at the center. Before, your mind was a room of shouting voices, regret chanting from the corner, anxiety pacing by the door, fear projecting horrors on the wall. Your body lived in a state of perpetual alert, shoulders braced for the next blow. Now, that cacophony has subsided. The alarms have been silenced, not by force of will, but because the storm itself exhausted its purpose. You feel the same challenges, difficult decisions, financial pressures, relational complexities, but they no longer unravel you. There is an axis within you now, a firm, quiet center of gravity. Emotions rise, but they no longer flood the engine room. You feel sadness without drowning in it, anger without being consumed by it, fear without being commanded by it. This tranquility is independent of circumstance. It is the hard-won proof that you can endure, that the worst has already been faced, and you are still here, breathing. Your body knows this truth before your mind can articulate it. Sleep, while perhaps not perfect, finds you more easily. The morning clutch of dread in your stomach has loosened. This is not apathy or resignation, it is presence. It is the capacity to be in your life without being at war with it. With this internal ceasefire comes a great, silent sorting in the world around you. You will notice that toxic people and draining situations began to fall away, not through dramatic confrontations, but through a quiet, gravitational drift. It was as if your changed frequency created a force field. What was incompatible could simply no longer hold orbit. Friendships that were once staples of your life faded into polite distance. Family dynamics that relied on your compliance became strained and then quiet. Colleagues who thrived on drama now seem to talk past you. This is not a conscious purge you engineered, but a divine curation. The universe, in its infinite wisdom, began to remove from your path everything that would hinder the person you were becoming. The relief you felt, a clean, spacious relief, confirmed what your heart already knew. These connections were sustained by an old version of you, one built on need, fear, or a desperate desire to belong. Their departure created room, not emptiness. It made space for you to hear your own thoughts, to feel your own rhythms. You began to say no not with rebellion, but with a calm finality that surprised even you. Your energy became a sacred currency, and you became its fiercely protective guardian. This simplification is not a loss of community, but the precondition for a community that is real. This protection of your energy extends inward to the very source of your motivations. You have stopped seeking external validation. The great trial taught you, in the most visceral way possible, that when you are in the crucible, there is no audience. No one's approval can lessen the heat, no one's opinion can lift the weight. That profound aloneness, once terrifying, became the forge of your authenticity. You emerged with a new internal compass. You still listen to advice, but you no longer outsource your decisions. You measure choices not by what will they think, but by does this resonate with my truth? This is not arrogance, it is the ultimate maturity. The exhausting performance of justifying your every move to an invisible jury is over. You have realized that those who are meant to understand you, will. Those who aren't, are simply on a different path. This release from the prison of perception is a liberation that affects everything: your career choices, your creative expressions, the way you parent, the way you love. You are no longer a photograph, composed for others' viewing. You are a living landscape, authentic and weather-worn and true. As you settle into this authenticity, the universe begins to converse with you in the language of synchronicity. Where once there was a terrifying silence during your trial, now there is a quiet dialogue. You think of a friend you haven't spoken to in years, and they text you. You wrestle with a problem, and the perfect book falls off a shelf. You see repeating numbers on clocks, not as a paranormal event, but as a gentle, reassuring wink from the cosmos. These are not mere coincidences, they are confirmations of alignment. They are proof that your inner state, your peace, your authenticity, is now harmonizing with the outer world. It is life whispering, you are on the right path. Keep going. This flow requires no force. It is the natural state of a being who has stopped swimming against the current and has learned to trust the water. From this place of trust, a miraculous alchemy occurs within your heart. Compassion for those who hurt you begins to replace resentment. This is not the faux forgiveness of spiritual bypassing, nor a weak excuse for poor behavior. It is a deep, clear-eyed understanding that emerges from your own journey through pain. You see that hurt people hurt people. You recognize the unhealed wounds, the fear, the limited consciousness that drove another's actions. This understanding does not condone, but it contextualizes. It allows you to release the poison of bitterness without ever having to hand the dagger back. The endless mental reel of old arguments stops playing. The energy you spent on rehearsing retorts is now free. This compassion allows you to set boundaries that are firm yet free of malice. You can walk away from toxicity without needing to burn the bridge behind you. You simply let the bridge exist, unused, while you take a different road. Forgiving them becomes a natural byproduct of freeing yourself. This inner clarity sharpens your most sacred tool, your intuition. That soft voice you used to second guess, the gut feeling you talked yourself out of, it now speaks with the authority of experience. You have learned the costly price of ignoring it. The trial stripped away the layers of doubt, people-pleasing, and fear that muffled its signal. Now, it is a clear channel. You meet someone new and know, instantly, whether they are safe or not. You face a decision and feel a physical sense of expansion or contraction in your body. This intuition is not impulsive, it is a deep, somatic wisdom. You have become your own most reliable guide. You make decisions that may baffle others but bring you an unshakable sense of peace. You have learned to trust the timing, to act when guided and to wait, patiently, when the internal signal says not yet. This self-trust transforms your relationship with loneliness. The frantic fear of being alone, which once drove you into unhealthy connections, has dissolved. In the quiet after the storm, you discovered a profound companion, yourself. You no longer see solitude as a sentence of abandonment, but as a sanctuary of presence. You can sit in silence without a screen, a podcast, or another person to distract you from your own company. This is the foundation of wholeness. Because you are no longer desperate to avoid being alone, you no longer accept emotional crumbs from others. You engage from a place of fullness, not lack. And from this wholeness, you attract different relationships, fewer, perhaps, but deeper, quieter, built on mutual respect rather than mutual need. With this solid inner foundation, the old, self-destructive patterns simply lose their power. The coping mechanisms you once used to numb the pain, the overwork, the substances, the toxic romantic loops, the endless scrolling, no longer call to you. It is not a white-knuckled fight of willpower, it is a genuine loss of interest. The wound those habits were bandaging has healed, so the bandage is now irrelevant. The energy that was once poured into escape is now available for creation. You find yourself drawn to what nourishes you: nature, meaningful conversation, creativity, rest, not as an obligation, but as a natural inclination. All of this culminates in the final, most liberating grace: you forgive yourself. The harsh, critical inner voice that replayed your mistakes and cataloged your flaws begins to soften. You look back at the person you were, the choices you made in confusion or pain, and you understand. You did the best you could with the awareness you had at the time. You extend to yourself the same compassion you learned to feel for others. You release the shame, not by forgetting the past, but by integrating it as a teacher, not a tormentor. You are no longer at war with your own history. This is who you are now. You are not a fixed, finished product, but a being in a state of gentle, daily renewal. You are stronger at the broken places. You move through the world with a quiet discernment, a resilient heart, and a peace that you have earned. The great trial did not break you, it initiated you. It burned away everything you were not, so that everything you truly are could finally, and brilliantly, remain. You are living proof that the deepest darkness precedes the most authentic dawn. This is not the end of your story. It is the beginning of your truth.